So in the last episode of the How They Can Work series, I was talking about a moveset for Kurogiri, trying to make a moveset for him, and spoiler alert for that video, in his Plus Ultra Level 2, I talked about maybe adding Gigantomachia as his Plus Ultra Level 2 animation, or including that character in his Plus Ultra Level 2 animation, because people want to see Gigantomachia and other characters like that, but those characters are large, so they can't really fit on the stage. And that's an issue with some of those characters because people really want those characters, but the problem is they can't fit on the stage and they can't really fight, smaller characters because of their size. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about some ideas / concepts I had for maybe trying to incorporate those kind of larger characters into the game and seeing how they could work. These are just some ideas I had, when I was making that moveset. I was thinking about it because, there are a couple ways you can include larger characters. I have 3 ideas, and I wanted to talk about those 3 ideas in this video. So let's start off with the first and easiest idea they could probably do, which is include their regular forms. People really want to see characters like Ryuku, Mountain Lady, Gigantomachia, stuff like that, but the issue with those characters is, their quirks make them grow to big sizes. And that's the issue because you can't really have large characters on the field because A, it kind of would be unfair, B, there would be no room for them, and C, I'm pretty sure if they grew, you wouldn't be able to see them, you would probably only be able to see their leg. So, you know what I'm saying? It's really tricky for those characters, but the simplest solution is they just make their regular forms characters, and their large kind of forms are their Plus Ultra animations, and that's basically it, which technically that could work, but that's really boring because you don't get to really see their quirk in action, in the movesets that, characters have, their quirks are a part of their quirk specials, their quirk specials are their quirks. And if you have someone like Mount Lady, how are you going to make her quirk into the quirk specials, you know what I'm saying? Because it just doesn't really work, but you can just make their movesets really basic, a couple of different types of punches, kicks, dodges, projectiles, you can totally do that, but the best you could probably do for characters that have large quirks is make a counterattack for them, and then if they get hit Kami's counter, they grow, and then they do one strike and then shrink back again, you know what I'm saying? It's not really interesting. And then, you could have their gigantic quirks in Plus Ultra animations, which is really cool to see, but you only get to see it for a couple of seconds, so it's not really all that crazy. So that's the simplest way they could do it. They could totally just design those characters with their regular forms, and then, incorporate their gigantic forms in Plus Ultra animations or counterattacks. I suppose maybe they can make quirk specials around maybe they grow really big and then strike the opponent with a giant fist, but then it's that animation would take too long, and then you can't really combo off of that. I can't really see that happening because think about Mount Lady. If her quirk 1 was she grew really tall and then punched the opponent into the ground, I just can't really see a combo coming off of that move. It's first off, it takes her a couple of seconds for her to grow, or that animation to happen for her to grow, and then the fist coming down, she also has to re-shrink back, so it's not you can really follow up with a combo after that. I just can't really see that really working, It's kind of just a counter attack, except you don't have to wait for the opponent to hit you. You can just grow real quick and then, punch the opponent. And then what happens if the opponent hits you? What happens? It's do you shrink immediately? Do you take damage? Is it an armor attack? It's a really complicated situation with these large characters. So, I think the simplest solution is, they include the regular forms because, Gigantomachia, Mount Lady, and Ryuku technically have smaller forms that I think would fit on the stage better, but, you would include their giant forms and maybe counterattacks and, Plus Ultra animations, I guess you can stretch some quirk specials for that, but, I don't really see much combo game off of those types of moves. So that's the first idea. It's the most simplest idea, just include their smaller forms, but, I don't think it's the most creative idea they could do, so let's move on to my second idea. Alrighty, so for my second idea, I have a brand new game mode. So hear me out. They could maybe introduce a brand new game mode where it would be called something like Colossal, Clash or something, where the larger characters would be put in their own separate roster, and maybe it would have this really cool map design where it's this huge city, and the characters, their intros would be where they grow into their larger forms, and basically it's kind of like a Godzilla versus Kong kind of fight, where they're fighting in this huge city, and the physics would be a little different, where you wouldn't be able to have like a dodge because the characters are massive, but maybe they could have like a duck animation. So it's like, instead of pressing the button to dodge and roll out of the way of certain attacks, they like duck down and maybe like dodge certain attacks, and maybe they would be like a little slower, or movement speed might be a little slower. I don't really know, but I think it'd be really cool to see like larger characters kind of like fight in like a city, kind of like Godzilla versus Kong, and like the buildings kind of like collapse around them and stuff. I think that'd be pretty cool. But the issue with that is, obviously they need their own separate roster, because you can't have smaller characters on that field because you wouldn't be able to see them. I'm very 50-50 with this idea, because on paper it sounds really, really cool, but like, you also got to remember, you're separating, the roster. You have two rosters now. You have like the main roster for like unranked and ranked, and then you have like this roster for like Colossal Clash. So it's like, you're separating the roster, but it could technically be like a side game mode where it's like, okay, it's like 2v2, except, hopefully it won't die as soon as the game comes out, because 2v2, let's be real here, is pretty dead because of all the requirements you need for that game mode. But hopefully it would be a pretty lively game mode, because a lot of people really like the larger characters, and I think it would be pretty cool if they do it correctly with like the correct physics and stuff. And overall, it'd just be pretty cool to see like two characters in their like large forms fighting in like a city. I think that'd just be really cool, to see, because then it would make sense for the larger characters and stuff to actually be able to fight on like the field and stuff, because it's kind of like, just something you can actually picture, larger characters fighting in like a big city and stuff. And I just think that would be a pretty cool idea. And obviously we would need to make like a roster, so I'm pretty sure the roster would probably be Gigantomachia, Mount Lady, Ryuku, and let's just go, we need a fourth character, the 0 Point Robot, because I included him in a moveset as well. Spoiler alerts for the 1 Point Villain Robot moveset, how they can work video, but they could totally do that. They could have those four characters maybe on like the roster. I'm pretty sure there's other larger characters, or characters that have like larger kind of quirks that make them like big. So I just can't think of any, but I'm pretty sure there are others. But it doesn't have to be like the world's biggest roster. Funny enough, we're talking about, large characters and stuff, and I'm talking about the smallest roster, but, I'm pretty sure there are other characters that have, like, gigantification quirks or makes them larger and stuff. I'm pretty sure there are other characters. I just can't think of any off the top of my head, but, they could totally do that. I could totally see them making, like, a brand new game mode, just really creative, where you have, like, these Titan-sized characters fighting in, like, a city and stuff. I think that'd be really cool to see. Granted, you would have to split the roster up, and then you would have, a really small roster, if you're only working with those four characters I just listed. But, at least it's a way to see these characters in their larger forms fight, in a way that makes sense. So that's my second idea. And my final idea is just include them in Plus Ultra Level 2 animations for other characters. That's like the other way you can include these characters. It's not the best way, because a lot of people want to play these characters, but it's very hard because these characters are massive, like they're huge, and it's so hard to include them in, the game because of how their quirks work. So I could also just see them throwing those characters in other movesets for other characters, like I did with Kurogiri. Gigantomachia is in Kurogiri's moveset with his Plus Ultra Level 2 animation, and technically his Plus Ultra Level 1. The 0 Point Robot was in the 1 Point Villain Robot moveset, so it's like, you could totally include these characters in like Plus Ultra Level 2 animations and stuff, and, things like that, but like, I'm not really sure people want to see that. They want to see those characters be their own characters and stuff. It's a cool Easter egg, seeing those characters in like Plus Ultra animations and stuff. But in reality, people want to see these characters in the game rather than them being locked in a animation in another character's moveset. That's just how it is. People really want to play these characters. Some of these characters are people's favorites and stuff like that. So, I think the best way is just to try to include the characters in the game, but like if worse comes to worse, then you just include them in an animation as like an Easter egg. I think that's also a possibility. But those are my three ideas of how they can make larger characters work in the game. It's just so hard to make these characters because, their quirks make them grow to like Titan size, people. Like they make them grow to like massive size, and it's really hard to include those types of characters because of how their quirks work and stuff, and you need to develop their quirk specials around their quirks and stuff. And then I can't really see combo games coming off of that kind of thing. And then, you know, it's just very limited with how these characters could work. But I overall think there are like ideas or ways they can, like, you know, make these characters work, but it's very tricky, and, you know, it's not the easiest thing. So I just wanted to make a video about these, you know, ideas I had about how larger characters can work in the game, because I know a lot of people want to see these characters. You know, they're really interesting, but again, it's very hard to make characters that have like gigantification quirks and stuff like that because of their size, and they can't really fit on the field and stuff. So maybe they could incorporate one of these 3 ideas into the game and stuff. I'm not 100% sure. These are just my ideas. You know, I just wanted to talk about that. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy, please like and subscribe. That would be amazing. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Also, comment down below, you know, if you have any ideas of how these characters could work in the game, or how like larger characters could work in the game. I would love to hear your guys' opinions and ideas on like how they can make larger characters work in this game. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.